Liverpool are top of the leagues and they're having a lot of joy at the moment. But for whatever reason, we're going to have to talk about a certain topic that I think not many people are going to talk about, which is Mohamed Salah, but the over-reliance on him, because he has been the X factor for Liverpool this season. He has been outstanding, contributing to nearly 70% of Liverpool's Premier League goals, goals and assists. Is there a world where that can become a problem in a season if it carries on?
It could become a problem if, for example, he was to go down with a long-term injury or something like that. Of course, there's the possibility that happens. But I always get a bit irritated by this whole over-reliance chat, whether it's Saka at Arsenal or Palmer at Chelsea or Haaland at Man City. If a player is that good, there is nothing wrong with leaning on them to provide you what you need. Yeah. And Mo Salah is that good. He's one of the greatest players the Premier League has ever seen, in my opinion. For me, he's Liverpool's best ever Premier League era player. He surpasses Steven Gerrard. It's not even a competition for me. And so to be reliant on someone that produces that much is fine. It's not an issue. You're only going to really know if they're over-reliant on them when he's not playing. So this idea that, Liverpool should be concerned by this when actually he's on his way to firing them potentially to a title. They're top of the Champions League as well. I just don't see what the problem is.
I couldn't agree more. I think the over-reliance narrative is a bit strange because it kind of hinges on the fact that there are other players in that team who are as good as Salah. So it's like, we can't over-rely on Salah. We need to pass it to other players or we need to work it through other channels. But they're not as good. So why would you do that? We've all played football before. If you're losing 1-0 with 10 minutes to go, you give it to your best player. Why wouldn't you? And I just think Slot actually has created a fantastic team where everyone I just do think works together. But obviously Salah is the figurehead of that team. He's been the figurehead of the Liverpool attack for 6 or 7 years, and he's always providing goals and assists. I don't believe in over-reliance.
Could the worry be here that this level that Salah's playing at right now inevitably will drop off at some point? Because for Salah to play at this level, he'll break the goals record in the season, he'll break the assist record in the season.
But teams change, don't they? And Salah will get worse and Salah will get moved on and Liverpool will buy someone to replace him.
This season, so could there be a scenario where game week 25, Salah has a little bit of a drop-off and now you're looking to Diaz and Nunez and Gakpo and they're not delivering?
Well, I think that could be a potential problem. I think what could happen to Salah is like what's happened to Erling Haaland at the moment. I know he scored the other day, but he hasn't really scored many goals at all in the last 9 or so games after starting the season, and everyone thought, all right, he's going to break the goals record again because he was on such fire and form. I do understand what you mean, because if Salah does stop scoring, I wonder, is it time to just give up on Darwin Nunez? Because I absolutely love him, and I think he's like a bit of a cult hero, isn't he? But he's your striker. He's the one who should be getting goals. It's not Mo Salah who should be getting goals. If you're talking like traditional footballing sense, it's your striker who should be getting goals. And he cannot hit a barn door with a banjo. Luis Diaz is a good player, but he doesn't score enough goals. Cody Gakpo, I think, maybe could be the solution to that problem. And also Jota, if he comes back from injury. I just don't think Salah will have that. I don't think Salah will have a dry spell. I think he's too good. And I think the way that Arne Slot has got this team playing for Mo Salah, if he stays fit, he will score goals. I don't know if he'll break the record, but he will continue to score goals.
One of the reasons I fear Liverpool in this title race is because of the fact they've got so many attacking options. So we talk about an over-reliance potentially on Mo Salah, and we're talking about what might happen if his personal level dips a bit. I just think Liverpool are so well equipped to deal with that. You've mentioned some of those options: Jota, Nunez, Diaz, Gakpo, all capable of scoring goals, all capable of going on brilliant runs of form. Even Darwin Nunez, like I know people talk about his finishing, the chaos that guy creates, it can open doors for others. And we've seen that time and time again. And sometimes you just need that moment. Think about Nicholas Jackson at Chelsea. Last season, we were talking about him in the same light as Nunez. Runs the channels, stretches people, works incredibly hard, but that finishing touch is just missing. And it's clicked for him. So I wouldn't give up on Darwin Nunez just yet. But even if you're going to have him in his current iteration and there isn't going to be any further improvement, he is still a useful attacking weapon to have, I believe.
I think the thing is, you are right. They have good attackers and they have players of good pedigree, but Salah is the scruff of your neck player. Every team has one. It's Palmer for Chelsea. It's Saka for Arsenal. It's probably still Kevin De Bruyne for City, which is a part of the problem. But Salah is that. I don't think Diaz, Gakpo, Jota, Nunez can take the game by the scruff of their neck in those big moments like Mo Salah can. So
But do you need them to?
I think every single team needs a player like that, and I think almost always those players in the big games are the ones that win you the games.
But I think this is where it becomes interesting because now we're like almost talking about the reverse happening where Salah's form might drop off. But do Liverpool have the players that he can lean on? And you're saying Liverpool do. Because there will, I think there will come an inevitable point where Salah maybe scores 1 in 4 or 5, maybe gets 1. Because the level right now is he's literally winning every game on his own.
Yeah.
So when that point comes, do you think Liverpool don't have the players to lean on to take that off him?
It's not that I don't think that they have the players to lean on. I think like we obviously talked in the other video about like Arsenal set pieces. Liverpool don't have that. And I don't think that, let's say, Gakpo's not playing particularly well and Luis Diaz doesn't have a good game. I don't think they have the players to take the game by the scruff of the neck, and that's what I'm talking about. So if Salah's form drops, I think you've got players that will get you goals, of course you will, and they're players who will get you results, even if Salah's not playing well. But you might start to see some results drop, and you might start to see a draw because Salah's not picking the ball up from 40 yards, beating a couple of players and lashing them on top bins. And that's what I mean about having that scruff of the neck player. If he doesn't start playing well, results will eventually start to slow down a little bit. But I mean, the players are there to win your games. That's why you're first in the league.
I just think I look at that list of players: Jota, Nunez, Diaz, Gakpo, players that you could lean on in the event that Mo Salah's form drops off. I wouldn't bet against any of those guys scoring a brace in any given game. They're all capable of it. And if you've got 4 alternative options and you use them in the right way and you're good enough as a manager, which I think Arne Slot is, to sense who's quite at it, who's maybe not, to make those rotations at the right times, I think you're always going to get enough out of that front group as a collective to not be too worried if Mo Salah goes through a 4 or 5 game barren spell.
What I do think then, and I'm not just trying to bring everything back to City then, for example, but like Haaland is going through this barren spell at the moment, and you look at that team and you think, okay, they've got De Bruyne, they've got Doku, they've got Savina, they've got Bernardo Silva. All of those players are probably at the same level of these players.
I don't think they are, though. I don't rate Doku at the same level as I do Diaz. I don't rate any of those Man City alternatives as goal scorers in the same category as Jota, for example. So I get what you're saying. There is talent in that Man City squad and it's not quite working the same. But I just think if I woke up on Saturday morning and turned on the football and Diaz scores a brace, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I'd expect it. Same with Jota. Same with Gakpo. I think they've all got that goal-scoring instinct. And that's the difference. Those City players are super creative in a lot of instances. People like Grealish, back him to create something, wouldn't back him to put the ball in the back of the net, though. And he's never really been that.
There's also another player missing on that list, Federico Chiesa. Hasn't quite landed yet, but
that was a complete waste of time as a sign-in.
You want to talk about that right now?
If you want.
I think he's had a lot of fitness issues, and from what I got told is that he was overrun and run into the ground at Juve, and Juve have got a history of doing that with certain players. In particular, Max Allegri has a history of doing that with certain players. And I've heard very positive things about him in terms of his recovery's going well. But Liverpool are basically going to 0.0 and working him up. Essentially, when he arrived, they thought he might hit the ground running. We'll have to find out. Figured quite early, he's nowhere near the level that the Prem requires. And if you're going for a title, you definitely can't keep throwing him in. So there hasn't been a scenario yet where they can throw him in, and he's been injured. So I think whether or not he scores or assists plenty of goals, I don't know. But I think as like a wild card, when you're playing, I don't know, Fulham away later in the season, it's a better wild card than most other teams have, should it work out.
Yeah, I think with Chiesa, he had to leave Juve. It was at that point. And I think if you're Liverpool, you looked at that and you went, there's an opportunity here. There's no guarantee it's going to work, but the risk level is low. So let's have a go at this. I just think the same issues that have always haunted Chiesa throughout his career are still there. And then you factor in that it's the Premier League and the intensity is even higher and the physical level needs to be higher. And I just don't see how they'll ever get to a point, Liverpool, where they'll look back on that signing and go, it was absolutely...
He'll have a dance. He'll have a dance at some point. There'll be one game.
The thing is, it was like 12 million, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was 12 million. You didn't spend very much money on him. You don't need him. So even if he comes on only towards the latter half of the season and comes up with a couple of goals, you haven't really lost out on anything. And he's certainly a player of quality who can create something in a moment when it might be 1-1 towards the end of the season. Arsenal might be 5 or 6 points behind and he might pop up with a goal because he's of that quality. And instantly he's worth 12 million.
Yep. So, Kim, Liverpool, Fulham.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of Fulham recently. I think they're a good side. I just think coming to Anfield is the hardest place to come at the moment. Real Madrid couldn't get a result, so why would Fulham? I think 3-1 Liverpool.
Yeah, I'll go for a Liverpool win. I'm going to say 2-0 to Liverpool. I think Fulham are a side that prefer to play with a mid block rather than a low block, which I think gives them a bit more of an attacking punch than some of the other teams that you might see come to Anfield and try and sort of keep themselves in the game for as long as possible. But I just can't see them having enough. So 2-0 Liverpool.
I'm going to go 2-1 because Adama Traore always has something at Anfield. They always cause havoc. And Raul Jimenez and Adama have linked up many times for Wolves. So I think they'll link up again, but I do think Liverpool will be just a little bit too strong.